Hi everyone, today I want to show you a card using the Fragrant Forest stamp set. And this is a card that I saw on the Stampin' Up Instagram page. If you don't follow the Stampin' Up official Instagram page, you should check it out because on Tuesdays they have techniques every Tuesday, and they sometimes have designs put together by the artisan design team. It's just a really fascinating source of creativity. So you do want to follow the Stampin' Up official Facebook page or Instagram page. It's just great. Or you can check out their Pinterest too. But I think they update the Instagram page the most, I think. But I could be wrong. Anyway, I wanted to show you this technique that they highlighted a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I thought it was gorgeous. This is acetate, a window sheet, you know, a clear acetate sheet on top of white, which really highlights that image. And sometimes in the past when I've stamped on a window sheet, you know, we use these a lot for shaker cards or for a see-through, but we don't often stamp on them. Or if we do, we stamp on them with black, like an outline, and then you can put some other coloring behind it or something. So I've never really stamped on it with a color and as the image itself. So we'll see how it goes. It's really beautiful, and I think it looks like a photo negative, perhaps film strip negative. Maybe the dots are making me think of a film strip, but I think it looks like a negative, and I think it's beautiful. So, and I like the subtleness of it. It's really soft. So I'm going to show you how to do it. There was not a video on how to do it, so I just kind of figured out for myself how I thought it would work, and I changed up a few little things. On the sample on their page, it was just a white rectangle, no little dots. So I'm thinking that they just cut a rectangle and then use their paper trimmer to cut out another rectangle inside. And that can be tricky because as you're using your paper trimmer to cut that line, what if you go past and then you have a little line? And I wanted it to be perfect for Stamp Camp, so I looked through my dies and I found quite a few that would work nicely for this. This particular die is called Everyday Details, and it's a nice collection of shapes with those cute little dots. There are circles, several sizes of rectangle, and then this little rickrack and some lines. So it's just a really fun die. I used the largest of the dies. Now it doesn't cut out both at once, so what I did was I cut a piece of basic white, and I forget what measurement I used. Let's see if I can measure it on my paper here. This is 3 by 4 3/4, 3 by 4 3/4. And so I cut that out, and then I used my die to cut out the center, which then leaves you, and I had to cut 14 of these, so I have a lot of centers. It leaves me with a bunch of little centers. So you know at Stamp Camp coming up, there's going to be a card made with all these little centers. So, but that's really a nice detail. I like that. So we'll use these on another card. Anyway, so you've got this. So you need a base, and the base should be white so you can see through, or if you use a different color, then no, you need to add a layer of white so you can see through, or vanilla or something like that. And then some place for your sentiment to go. And there are some tricks to adhering the acetate to the card base, because if you put glue under there, you would see all that glue, or you know, maybe you're going to use glue dots, you would see a little blob for glue dots. So I'm going to show you how I put the card together so you hide those things, and I want to show you how to stamp. So I just thought it was really pretty. So follow, that's not my idea. This is a Stampin' Up official Instagram idea. Okay, and then, oh, I also almost used this one because this frame does cut out just the frame. Really pretty. And it's got this like octagon shape. And look how pretty that would be. And I almost went with that one. Look how pretty. Okay, so there's lots of, look through your dies. I bet you've got some great dies that would make some wonderful frames. Countryside Corners would be good. This one is Wildflower Designs, Everyday Details. Citrus Blooms has a nice frame. Oh, what else has a frame? The Deckled Rectangles would make a good one. Perennial Postage. You might have one that will make a good frame. Okay, so let's get to stamping. All right, so this is not, this looks yellow to you, so you might be thinking, is it wild wheat? Is it crushed curry? It's none of those. It's StazOn Saddle Brown, because StazOn is a permanent ink. If I were to stamp one of our actual water-based stamp pads, which is what our, you know, our stamp pads are, this would smear on an acetate sheet. So this will not. See, it says for every surface right on the label. Okay, so let's do it. I've got my packet here from Stamp Camp, and I've got my acetate sheet, window sheet. I cut this at 5.5 by 4.25. It's bigger than we're going to use it. We're going to have to trim it down a little bit, and I did that so that I would have an area to pull it, to touch it. I just wanted to be careful. Okay, and then I have a little cutout circle for my sentiment, so you could use any little die cut you have, or cut yourself some cardstock for a sentiment. And then I've got my frame and my card base. Okay, so let's stamp on this acetate. This stamp is huge. Look at this. This is Fragrant Forest. Love it. It's so great for cards. You can just stamp a really pretty forest in your green, on some crumb cake, and a little ribbon and a label for a Christmas card, and you're done, and you can make these in seconds. It's just a gorgeous, just imagine, a little label here, some ribbon, a little bow, perfect. But so it's just not just for Christmas. This one is very much a not Christmas card. Okay, so for a big stamp like this, I recommend you do this to ink it up. Now this is a permanent ink, so it is going to stain your stamp a little bit. There are some cleaners for StazOn. Does Stampin' Up still sell? I'm going to have to look that up, and I'll write it in the captions. They used to sell StazOn stamp cleaner, and I still have some, so I have not purchased any in a while. So I think it's still available. I didn't ink up there, so I'm going to do this again. All right. So we had a lot of people doing this at Stamp Camp. Now there were two thoughts here. Now for my sample, I stamped off, and some people did and some people didn't. So I'm going to stamp off, and that just means getting some of that ink off. And then I'm going to stamp on that acetate, which is tricky because it's clear. You gotta find it. And I'm going to make sure I got it all around. Okay, so like I said, I cut it a little too big, and that's so that I could peel it off and have a place to touch it. And I'm going to set it aside. You can't really see the image super clearly because it's clear. But when I put it on the white, you will. So I'm going to do a couple because I have some kits left over from Stamp Camp. I cut 14. I somehow miscounted who was coming. And I always cut a couple, like I always cut 1 or 2 extra just in case people mess up. But this time I cut 4 extra, so I have 4. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I cut 16 or something. I just got crazy. Okay, I wanted to clean it because I realized I had never cleaned it after Stamp Camp, so it was, sometimes you can get, you know, build up and things like that. So I'm gonna clean it. Let's do it again. Okay, this time I'm not gonna stamp off because I wanna see what the difference looks like, because some people did and some people didn't. Then you get a deeper color, but you don't get as crisp an image, but it still looks really amazing. So I thought we'll do both, and then you can decide which way you like. It's deeper. Now on the Stampin' Up official homepage, they did say to stamp off. That was one of the tips that they gave for it. And so it does look pretty. I think it looks pretty either way. I'm gonna see if there's any left over, because maybe that was my stamp off. Let's just try it all. That might have been my stamp off, and then this is my second go. Or did the ink all go away? Let's see. This is a really big stamp. So this block is actually really nice, unless you have a stamp positioner. This big heavy block really does help. Was there enough ink on there? There was. Look at that. So you can get 2, a deep image and a lighter image. Okay, so I'm setting those aside. I think I have one more. Yeah, I had 4. One more, so I'm going to have to ink it up. One more time. Maybe I'll cut another window sheet so I can do 2 in a row. It's nice to do 2 in a row. You can have one strong one and one light. I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut and cut myself another one. Okay, through the magic of television, I now have 2. So this one, we're going to do our stamp off on this one. Okay. There it is. Lovely. And then I'm going to stamp on this one. Oops, I'm upside down, but that's okay. I'm going to stamp up and press. It's lovely. I don't know why I like it so much, but I just do. The second I saw it, I knew I had to make one. Okay, so I've got my little circles. I'm going to set those aside and we'll stamp our circles. Oop, I didn't cut myself a circle. That's okay. So I have my 4. I want one more. Okay, 5 circles. Now, you can do any greeting here. And I brought a lot for Stamp Camp. Oh, I never used this one. Hope You Know. I like that one. And I thought I would do this, Wishing You Comfort. I think this card has a peaceful look to it, and I think this would be great for a sympathy. I also, however, think it would be great for a masculine birthday, or just a nature lover, anybody, any gender. Okay, so I'm using crumb cake, and then to do my stamping, I thought it would be nice to do a deep, instead of black, a lot of times sentiments end up in black, I wanted to use early espresso. It's a nice earthy brown to go on that treetop. So let's do, okay. And then let's see, may your heart find the peace it needs. Words cannot express the deep sorrow felt on your behalf. That's the one I had on my sample at Stamp Camp. But birthday is also great. Let's see what else I have. Birthday wishes. That's a nice big birthday wishes. Maybe I'll go with that one. I love this stamp set, by the way. Simply Said. It's really inexpensive. It's towards the beginning of the annual catalog, and it has a couple of different birthday greetings and a yay, so that's great all the time. And then just a hello and a thanks. Just a note. It's like perfect and inexpensive, and I love it. So that's a good one to add to your collection. Let's do this one. Okay, that's a nice big birthday. I'm going to do 2 of those. And then I'm going to do that words can't express one, because I think that's a nice one. All right, I will clean that later. I'm going to grab a different black. When you need a sympathy card, you don't want to make a sympathy card because you're sad. And so I like to every once in a while make one and just set it aside. I know that they're there, and then I have one. Okay, so that is that. And then you can throw things on the inside too, like may your heart find the peace it needs is great. Just thinking of you, I'm here if you need me would be great on these birthday wishes. You could just say, I made you a card because you're worth it. I can't begin to count all the times we've laughed together. So it's just all kinds of fun insides too. I like this one. Here's a card. There's a lot of great sentiment stamps. Hope You Know is a really good one too. This one has a nice inside for a thank you card. Thinking of you. Anyway, great. There are a lot of great sentiment stamps. I don't have to go through those too much. Okay, so let's put the card together. So some of these have to be dry. I think this is the first one I did. Okay, so I said that I cut it a little bigger than needed so that I could touch them. And they do dry pretty fast because it's a permanent ink. And look how this is the one that was, see how you've got these like weird little blobs of ink on there, and I kind of like that. It's like a negative photo negative is what I'm trying to say. So now I'm cutting it to 4 by 5. Here, I'll bring it down here. 4 by 5 1/4. So this one wasn't dry yet, and I just swiped my finger. This was the last one I did, and I just swiped my finger through there. And let's see if you can see. But so there's that swipe, which is why I made it too big so that I could hold on to it. And then I just wasn't thinking. I thought it was dry, and I smeared it across. So do be careful of that. Okay, so how are we going to put those on? We are going to start with these frames, and you are going to use glue dots, and you're going to put them, or you know, if you have a skinny, the tear tape is a little thick for these dots. If I didn't use the dotted frame, I could use tear tape on here, but I did use the dotted frame. So I am putting glue dots in the corners. And then, because this is kind of long, I want to put one in the center also. And I'm just making sure that if they hang over the side, I kind of, you know, you can take the glue dot and kind of push it into whatever shape you want. I'm going to make sure it doesn't hang over the edge. All right, so I've got my glue dots on here, and then I'm going to take one of my sheets, and I am going to center that on the front. Like so. Okay, and now you're going to flip this over, and you're going to put the glue dots kind of in the same spot on the acetate. And this is the side with the ink on it, so I think this is one of the first ones I did, so this one's pretty dry. But just be leery, because it's a non-porous surface, dry time can be a little longer than you think. All right, now let's put it on our white base, and it's really going to show up. We're going to center that right on our card. Now, do you see what I mean by vintage negative, photo negative? Am I crazy? Or do you agree with me? Okay, so that's one, and then let's find a darker one so you can see the difference. Okay, so this is one that I did full strength ink, and you can kind of see that it does smear a little more, and you get like more blotchy look to it. It's still kind of interesting though, and it looks even more like an antique, like maybe the negative is burnt a little bit. It's kind of interesting. I still like it. I still think I'm going to send it. I think it's really pretty. And then here is the one where I stamped off, and you can kind of see the difference here. it is hard to stamp on acetate, but I think that those little things kind of add, for me, I like them. You tell me what you think. Now to add ribbon to this, I will say you can add designer strips of paper. I found some paper here, and it has the right colors that I was going for, which was like a Cajun craze and a meadow or a yellow. It's from this paper here called Splendid Autumn. But then I was cutting it up and I just thought, you know what? I know I have ribbon in those colors and it's retired. However, right now it's on the clearance rack at a really good price. So this is wild wheat and copper clay. And so my tip for you on the ribbon is to take your tear tape and go directly on the acetate and put that down here. Like so, because it's so much easier to pull the tape off. If you were to put tape on the back of this ribbon, it's really hard to, because you don't have anything to grip or get your fingernail against, it's hard to peel this backing off, I find. And so you're going to want to, and plus then you kind of ruin your edges because you're fiddling with it. So you can get yourself a nice cut edge and stick this down directly onto your acetate like that. And then this one is wild wheat, and I'm going to stick it right above. And now I'm going to take my little sentiment that I already made and put some dimensionals on the back and stick that there. And then there are some really pretty embellishments that you can add to this, and I will put those on. I will do the rest of my 4 cards off camera because you don't want to watch me do the same thing again. And I'll show them to you at the end. So here is this, and then the embellishments that I found are these faux glass dots, and they're in the perfect color family. So you can just, and they used these on the Stampin' Up homepage too. And you can use either one of the orangey kind of, this I think is probably closer to cherry cobbler maybe, but it looks perfect. Or you can use the, so you've got double of your orangey color, but I'm going to use all 3 kind of shades and add those dots. Okay, so here is my card, and again, Stampin' Up came up with this one on Technique Tuesday, so do check that out, and I will finish these up. Okay, I'm all done. Here are my cards. I did this one embellishment free, just thought I'd make it real simple, birthday wishes, and then this one I've got wishing you comfort, and I've got the words cannot express the deep sorrow felt on your behalf. Now you tell me, do you like the lighter version or the darker version? I think they're both really fun and really pretty to look at. I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.